told y'all about one of my heroes, which was William Tyndale. And I did that lesson in October because he was martyred on October the 6th, William Tyndale Day. And we did the lesson on William Tyndale. So I want to do this lesson on my other hero, which is Corrie Ten Boom, in the month of February, because she wasn't martyred, but she was caught and put in prison in February of 1936. That's sorry, 1940. 1940. That's when it happened. So I always think of her in February because that's when everything happened concerning her. So I have this lesson, and also I wanted, before I forget, so coming up at IBJM is Holocaust Education Day, and it's on March the 20th, which is in just a few weeks. So it's a Friday, March the 20th, from 9 to 4. So I'm hoping that I can go. So if anyone would like to go, I mean, it would be possible to drive there, go to it, and drive back without having to get a hotel. It'd just be a long day. But it is a very good event because they always, and of course at IBJM, and of course Lisa knows, and Charlie knows because they saw it, but at IBJM they have a replica of Corrie's room, which I'm going to show you a picture of it, which became the hiding place. And that's the only replica in the whole world other than the real one in Holland, okay? And so her house, it was their house, is now the Corrie Ten Boom Museum. It was bought by the museum, which became a nonprofit organization, and they bought it, and they do tours there. And you can go there and you can still see Corrie's bedroom where the hiding place is. But they replicated that at IBJM. And they had to do it exactly the way it was in Holland. So it's very, very specific. So if anybody's interested, here's the handout, and I can always take a picture of that and give it to you. So she is my other hero, William Tyndale, because he really loved the scriptures, and Corrie because she really loved the Jewish people. So much so that her whole family, I'm going to tell you the story in case you haven't heard, were captured. By the way, it's in her book, The Hiding Place, and I have all of her books. Okay, she wrote many books after her ordeal at Ravensbrück, and she was released. She wrote a lot of books in her latter life, and I have all of them, and I've read all of them at least twice, and they're all very, very good. I could give you my stamp of approval. They're great books. And there's also a movie. There's a couple of movies about it, and I have one of the movies. So in 1940, Germany, which is over here, went right over and took over the Netherlands. And when they did so, they imposed all of their rules that they had in Germany, they imposed them on the Netherlands. One of the rules being all Jewish people had to wear the yellow star that said Jude, which is how you say it in German. You say Jew as Jude in German. And so when they made this rule, Corrie's father, who was named Casper Ten Boom, he went and got a yellow star, and he put it on his sleeve. And he said, whatever God's people have to do, I will do too. And he wore it from then on. He always wore his yellow star. So I'll back up a little bit and tell you that at the house, it's spelled Bege, but because it's in Dutch, it's pronounced Beje. I used to call it the BG. This Beje, the Beje house. So this was a generational house that had been passed down to the Ten Booms, and their grandfather had also lived in this house. Okay, same house. So in 1850, now remember, all this is happening now almost 100 years ago. World War II is coming up The the uh, the men who fought in World War II, they're all passing off the scene. The Holocaust survivors, they're all passing off the scene because it's so long ago, right? The 1940s, well, we're already in 1926 right now. So it's almost 90 years ago. So go back 90 years to this time and realize that Corrie's grandfather, Wilhelm, who lived in the same house, he was asked by his pastor in 1850, think 1850, he said, please, I want you to start a prayer meeting here in your house every week. And what were they praying for? For the peace of Jerusalem and that Israel would be reestablished as the Bible said it would happen. And they started praying every week in the Bayou, in the house. Now, when William Ten Boom had these prayer meetings, I don't think he realized that part of the answer to his prayer would be that his son and all of his grandchildren would be killed, except Corrie. They would all be killed because they loved the Jewish people and they died in the concentration camp. But he prayed as his pastor asked him to do, and this was passed down to Casper, who passed it on to his children. So there was Corrie, there was also Betsy and Noli. So Noli was married, and she married a pastor. And then there was Wilhelm, their brother, who was named for the grandfather. Okay, Wilhelm was also a pastor. So two of them were pastors. Betsy and Corrie did not get married. Betsy had a disease, and I think it was type 1 diabetes, actually. She was told that if she ever had children, she would probably die. So she said, I'm just going to stay here. Their mother had had a massive stroke, and they cared for her in the home. And also they had other family members, because this was a big house. It was a 3-story house. They had a lot of people living there. Now, Casper was a watchmaker. He was the best watchmaker in all of Harlem. And he passed this on. First of all, Betsy tried it, but she didn't really like it. And she said, you know what, I'm going to switch Corrie. Corrie did the food. She said, Corrie, you come work in the shop with Father, and I'm going to do the food. Corrie became the first licensed watchmaker in all of Holland, and she was very, very good at it. She loved it. And she worked with her father in the shop every day. And people would come in, and they were very hospitable. And Corrie had a lot of Bible clubs, and she taught children the Bible, and she also had a big burden for the underprivileged. So specifically for those who today, people, and I don't even know how the word is not used as much today, but what we would call mentally retarded. All right, she really had a burden for them, and she would have Bible clubs for them. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, but the Nazis murdered every person like that. Anybody who wasn't perfect, if you had any kind of disease or whatever, not just Jewish people, anybody, off to the gas chamber you went. You had to be perfect to live in their society. So that was Corrie's life, was teaching the Bible. She'd take the kids to the YMCA, and she would take them on nature hikes because she wanted them to be healthy. And she was always about the Bible for her. And her father was always having people into the shop. But when the Germans took over, everything changed. Everything changed overnight. And so shortly after that, one day there was a knock at the door, and it was a Jewish, I think it was a family, and they said, can you help us? We don't have anything. And he said, of course, we will help. You can live here. By this time, his wife and the other extended family members were gone. So it's basically him and Betsy and Corrie living in this big house. He said, you can live here. And everyone warned him. They said, Casper, if you let those Jews live there, you'll get in trouble. And he said, I will not turn away God's chosen people. And so when word came out, more and more Jews knocked on the door. Can you help us? We have nothing. And somehow Corrie managed to get food stamps, not like how we think of food stamps, but everything was rationed, so you had to have a little card to eat. Even if you had money, you couldn't buy any food unless you had the little card. And somehow she managed to get like 90 of them. And she went and she was able to buy all this food because, they're going to have to feed a whole lot more people. And in a short time, someone from the Dutch resistance came to them. And this is the symbol of the Dutch resistance, was orange, the color orange. And they said, look, if you're going to house the Jewish people, we want you to be part of the Dutch resistance, but you have really got to change the way you do things, or you're going to be caught and you're all going to be killed. And so they came in and they said, first of all, you got to be quieter. He said, you got all these Jews, and every night they would be singing songs in Hebrew. They're like, all your neighbors know they're in here. You got to tone it down. And they said, and they taught them, okay, if there's a knock on the door at night, all Jews must run and hide. And they would even flip the mattress over, because if the Gestapo comes in, they're going to feel the mattresses, and if they're warm, they're going to know somebody was there. So they had to flip the mattresses, remake the bed, and hide the Jews. And then they told them, they said, if you're really going to do this, we're going to have to come and build you a hiding place. So they sent a carpenter to come, and they said, well, the best place is in Corrie's room because she's up on the 3rd floor, and they'd have to go all the way up. It would slow them down climbing up there. So they picked an outside wall, and then they came in and made this other wall, but they made it out of brick. So this is an outside wall, and this is another wall made out of brick. Of course, this is not here. This is torn away. And then this was like a cabinet. And down here, they had to crawl down in here. And this is very small, isn't it? It's only about that big. And I think it's 6 foot long. And 6 people would get in there. There was no toilet, no food, no water. There was a little tiny vent so that they wouldn't smother to death. And they said, now we're going to do drills all the time. And they started doing drills in their house. And anytime the resistance came and pressed the buzzer, they said, okay, everybody flip your mattress, remake your bed, and run and get in the hiding place. And they did this all the time, because by now it's highly against the law for you to have a Jewish person in your house. But eventually, and see, these people would only stay with them a while, and then they said, no, they can't stay with you forever. They got to go on. We got to get them to freedom. And they had a secret path. They would have, okay, come to the Ten Boom house, and then go to this farm, and then go there, and they would get them basically out of Holland to somewhere else. This was in the beginning. Eventually, there was really nowhere else to go. But in the beginning, they could get them out, maybe to France or somewhere. Eventually, Germany also took over France. But until someone turned them in, someone that they had trusted, a German had come in to buy a watch, and he observed them, and he figured they're hiding Jews here. And he turned them in, and the Gestapo came and raided them. Now, the Jewish people hid. They hid in the hiding place. But Corrie and Betsy and Casper and Noli and her husband and Wilhelm and his family, they were all taken to the concentration camp. And they all died except Corrie, who was released on a era. We know it really wasn't an era, right? A clerical era. When she was in Ravensbrück so Betsy was in there with her, but Betsy died in there. And she thought she was going to die too. And then one day they came and said, you've been released. And she said, oh, why? And they said, oh, don't argue about it. Just go. And she was put out, let go. And now she's free. But all her family were dead. And she was released because God wanted her to go tell the story of all, and to write those books. And everything that she did when she was in her 50s, and she died at age 91. So for the next 40 years, she changed completely. She was no longer the watchmaker, no longer any of that, but she called herself the Tramp for the Lord. And she went all over the world, really, and told her story and spoke to she would talk to anybody who would listen and tell the story of what happened in the Holocaust and how they rescued the Jewish people and how Gentiles, were also put in the concentration camp because of their love for the Jewish people. Now, if you go here to Yad Vashem, this is in Jerusalem. Yad Vashem is the National Holocaust Memorial in Israel. If you ever go to Israel, you have to go here, okay? I'm sure y'all have been. And you look up, okay, this is what it's like. And you can walk up on this platform and you can look up. And around here this is all books, okay? And here are the pictures. These are the pictures of all those, not all of them, but many of them who died. And then they have all these books around because they've made a little binder. They've tried to make a binder for everybody. Now, I just read this week that so far they've tracked down 5 million of the 6 million who died. So they know the name and everything about at least 5 million of them. There's still a whole million left that they haven't tracked down. But you can go there and you can see all this that the Jewish people endured. And that, of course, Corrie didn't, I don't know that she ever got to go here. But anyway, here on the grounds of Yad Vashem, they have a garden called the Righteous of the Gentiles. And those who really tried to help the Jewish people have a tree. So when I went to Yad Vashem, I said, by tour group, I'm going to find Corrie's tree. And I took off. And this is, and I didn't take that picture as you see, Petri did, but I found it online. But Corrie has the Ten Boom family has a tree there. And the nation of Israel did honor them. It's a very big deal to get a tree at Yad Vashem. But they helped so many Jewish people. And these are Gentiles that did this, not Jewish people. The righteous among the Gentiles. So this is Corrie's tree. And not just hers, but the whole family, because her whole family died, and she was the only one that lived to tell about it. Now, the last picture I have is this one. It's the cattle car exhibit, because the Jewish people were carted away in cattle cars to all the concentration camps. And they knew once they got on the cattle car that there was really no hope unless they could jump off and somehow escape. So they have this one there. Now this all happened, as we know, in the 1930s, the 1940s. Auschwitz was liberated on my birthday, January 27th, 1945. Is International Holocaust Day, which is also my birthday. I could think of no greater honor than Holocaust Day being on my birthday. But that's the day it was liberated, okay? That's the day the American troops walked through with then General Eisenhower. And he told them, he said, take pictures of all this because no one's ever going to believe it. And one day the people who did it will deny it. And so that's how we have all the pictures we have, because he told them to do that. And so now it's been almost 90 years, with 80-something years, right? 81, 82. We're coming up. So many of the Holocaust survivors are passing on. I used to go in Charleston. Every year they have an event, and I've been to every Holocaust event they ever had and heard Holocaust speaker after speaker. And you know what? When I first went to Charleston in 2001, we heard actual survivors. And then as the years went on, we would hear children, because there were children. 1.5 million were children that were killed. We heard children survivors. Now we hear children of the survivors or grandchildren of the survivors, because the survivors are all passing away. And we don't have their voices anymore. Okay? And when their voices are gone, then we start having people who say, oh, that never happened. Okay? I'm here to tell you today, in honor of Corrie Ten Boom, it all did happen. And the Jewish people were murdered. Now, the thing that has really bothered me is that this week, a man named Tucker Carlson, who's on TV all the time, flew to Israel, interviewed our ambassador, Mike Huckabee, who is an amazing Christian and loves Israel with all of his being, gave him a horrible interview, came back and spreading all these lies all over the place, saying that the Jewish people that were killed were really not Jewish. Well, why did Hitler kill them then? Please tell me why 6 million died if they really weren't Jewish. That's his constant theme, is that the Jewish people today in Israel are not really the Jewish people in the Bible. And so I'm here to tell you that they are the same Jewish people. The Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, those descendants, the same ones are the ones in the land of Israel today. Hitler thought they were. He killed 6 million of them. Corrie Ten Boom and her father and her sister thought they were. They died for them, except Corrie was released on an error. But she would have died otherwise. And she spent all the rest of her life traveling around telling her story. If y'all don't have her books, I would highly encourage you to get her books and read them. The Hiding Place is a great one, and the other one, I mean, they're all good, but my favorite was that one, and the other one, In My Father's House, talking about her earthly father, okay, as she lived at home in the Bay. Those are my favorite two of all her books. And then there's movies. There's a movie that was done by the Billy Graham, I don't know, what do you call it? You know, the Billy Graham thing in Charlotte. They did a movie in the 80s, I think. That's an older one. But then 3 years ago, there was a movie that was really a play. It was a play, like a real play, but they recorded it. So it was a recorded play. So it was a movie, but it was performed as a play, and it was fantastic. Much better than the one that Billy Graham people did. So I would highly recommend both of those. Huh? There is. I just can't remember it. But I will find it. But see, I went to the movies and saw it. Our whole ladies class from my church in Charleston, when I was still there when it came out, and we got together and we went and saw it because it was only out for like the weekend. And we went for the limited showing, and we saw it. I saw it at the movies. But then I haven't never seen it online again. But it was a fantastic play. And it showed the whole story of everything about Corrie. So because we're coming up on the spring, because this is February, the month that the Ten Booms were arrested, and then Holocaust Day is coming up. Holocaust Remembrance Day will be in April, and there'll be an event in Greenville, which I will go to, and any of you will be welcome to go if you want to go and hear Jewish people talk about the Holocaust. But it's really important that we be educated so that we can tell others, hey, look, that's wrong. You know what? We have to speak out, because if we don't speak out, when we're silent, they say, oh, well, they don't think anything about it. So we have to speak up and say, hey, look, no, that's wrong. What you're saying is not true. So it was really on my heart today to tell you this about Corrie, because she is such an important person to my life. By the way, Corrie Ten Boom died on her birthday. Did y'all know that? She was born on April 15th, and she died on April 15th at age 91. In the Jewish traditions and their way of thinking, it is the highest honor from God to die on your birthday. Do you know that? Because the way the Jewish people think of it, if you die on the day you were born, your life is complete. There's like nothing left over from that next year. Like if you live part of the next year, but if you die on your birthday, it's complete. So God let Corrie die on her birthday, and it is such an honor because even the Jewish people think, yes, she was. God let her die on her birthday. She was a very important person. So that is an amazing thing about her is that she did die on her birthday at age 91. She died in California, actually, not in Holland. And my friends, Gert and Martine Vanderveen, um, they are from. You can hear that name, right? You know they're from Holland. They know they've already met Sabrina and the whole family because this is where Sabrina and the family are. They're in Holland. Gert and Martine are so Martine's grandfather, her real grandfather, was the man who made the hiding place in Corrie's bedroom. He was a carpenter that did it. And so all of their life, when they have spoken to groups of people, they have said they've used this as an inroad, and they've always given away Corrie's books. They've probably given out thousands of Corrie's books to people, really Jewish people who are interested, or who know, or like say, you know what, I have a family member that is related to someone that was rescued by Corrie. You know, very often they have met people like that, which is pretty amazing. So, and they were at IBJM last year, Gert and Martine, and Martine gave us the whole tour of Corrie's bedroom and told us all about it. It was a really special 4-day focus. Martine would remember the name of the play. Yes, I know. I mean, I was just looking at the trailer. I was just looking at the trailer for it this morning, but I just didn't write it down. But I will find it and I will send it to you. The name of the trailer of that movie. I know that there's a Jews film, but what about the Gentiles? Like Corrie, like Corrie's dad and. I don't know how many. Gentiles, did they count them in the 6 million, or? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Do we know what happened to the particular Jews that they personally hid? So the day that they were arrested, all 6 of those were. What happened was they left them there for a couple of the Dutch resistance just didn't do anything, and then a couple of days later, they got to the house and they got them out, and then they got word back to Corrie or someone, and they said, "Your 6, how was it they said it? Your 6 jewels are free." They had to speak in code all the time. But anyway, those 6 made it safely out. The Dutch resistance got them out and got them away. So, out of Holland. Yeah, out of Holland. Yeah, they got them to freedom. And some of the people that turned them in told on them that they were socialists. They were the Dutch socialists. So the Dutch socialists were actually Nazi sympathizers. Yeah. But I know in the book when I read it, it's been about 6 months ago, I guess, when I read it, or well, it was before I went to Disney. Now, when she come out, Willem and Nolly were still alive in the book. Oh, were they? Yeah. But I think they died. Did they? Yeah, I knew they were. She'd come home and saw them or something. They were when she got out. But according to the book, I don't know. Okay. I might have a revised version. I just don't know it or something. Okay, I'll double check that. If you want me to put anything like the name of that movie or anything on our little Sunday school group, just text me and I'll find it when I get home. I'll send it to y'all, and you can put it on there. The movies. And if you already have a group to text it to, then that's fine. But if you don't have a group, okay. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed hearing about Corrie today.